When it comes to Drake and Kendrick Lamar, things have spiraled into a wild spectacle that no one could have predicted. The way Drake, or Karen, as people jokingly call him online, continues to publicly provoke Kendrick like he's desperate for another round of lyrical warfare, has turned flat-out dramatic. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button because this situation is only getting messier, and you definitely don't want to miss what's coming next. As Karen and his little OVO detective squad finally manage to string together a coherent sentence, Drake is out here parading around like some master-level lyrical genius, a supervillain plotting from the shadows. He keeps pushing this narrative that there's some bigger plan behind every move he makes against Kendrick Lamar. Now, it feels like the whole thing could spiral into something even larger than anyone expected. Drake's fans are fueling this energy, hyping him up and claiming that the guy who dropped the Heart Part 6 is a prophet who predicted the future. They're treating him like a modern-day chess master of the rap game. But today, we're not sugarcoating anything. We're breaking it all down, exposing the reality behind the hype, and pulling back the curtain on what's really going on. Make sure to leave a like because the stans are already getting emotional about this entire fiasco. Here's the wildest part. Between his public meltdowns and his petty online antics, Drake has been quietly liking posts from fan pages that spin conspiracy theories about his lawsuit and his label. They're claiming that lyrics from Family Matters were actually coded messages, as if Drake was some kind of Gandalf or Yoda who can see the future and knew this exact moment was coming all along. It's pure rap soap opera energy. The most ironic twist is how the most media illiterate people online are now trying to lecture everyone else about media literacy. They're spinning the ending of Family Matters like it's some secret coded confession from Drake, and it's getting ridiculous. Toward the end of that track, Drake takes a swipe at Kendrick Lamar, singing about how Kendrick supposedly needed a management team to cover up some awful things he allegedly did, even though there's absolutely no proof. Still, people are running with it like it's gospel. Some are now claiming Drake predicted this entire scheme involving bots not like us and all the other surrounding drama. The conspiracy deepens when they point to an LLC Drake mentioned called Nowhere to Hide. According to these self-proclaimed online detectives, this mysterious LLC is connected to a man named Kojo, who keeps popping up in this situation like a shadowy figure Drake is supposedly dragging into the light for questioning. But here's where it gets even wilder. The so-called evidence doesn't add up at all. People are insisting that Nowhere to Hide is Kojo's company just because Drake mentioned it, but early checks suggest it's likely a bogus registry. It doesn't match anything Kojo actually owns or is affiliated with. Yet, the rumors keep flying anyway. And here's the kicker. The more people hype Drake up as some crystal ball holding rap genius, the deeper this rabbit hole goes. When you actually take Drake's words at face value and follow what his lyrics imply, the whole story starts looking even more absurd than anyone expected. This isn't just a rap beef anymore. It's morphing into a full-blown mystery thriller. Let's break down this circus completely. According to Drake's fans, the story goes something like this. Drake wasn't blindsided by this feud. He actually saw it coming. They claim he anticipated the diss track that would drag his reputation to an all-time low, damage his value inside the label system, and become part of a massive setup that he supposedly had no control over, yet somehow knew every detail of. Think about how wild that is. This theory suggests Drake watched the entire plan unfold like a movie script, allowed it to hit him full force for over a year, and just sat back as it supposedly rewrote hip-hop's entire narrative. And even knowing all of that, he still let it play out. That's not just far-fetched, that's movie-level drama. And it doesn't stop there. If this version of events is true, then since Kendrick Lamar's latest drop, Drake's been playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers, at least according to the lobby detectives pushing this narrative. They're convinced Drake knew this entire feud was a setup, yet he still decided to go through the motions, dropping pushback tracks, sparring like it was a regular rap battle, and doubling down with Family Matters against other MCs. Then comes the real twist. When Kendrick finally released the track that was supposedly part of this grand conspiracy, designed to boost streams and destroy Drake, the theory says Drake played along and dropped the Heart Part 6 in response, as if acting out his part in some elaborate script. This is the kind of plot you'd expect from a streaming series cliffhanger, not a real-life rap feud. And here's where the entire Drake knew everything storyline collapses. The Heart Part 6 was the moment Drake tried to pull a rabbit out of his hat, dropping a track filled with cryptic lines about lying with the daughter and hidden information, as though he were unveiling some final, boss-level revelation. Instead, it completely backfired, staining his reputation and making him look more nervous about the feud than ever before. When you take a step back and remember what actually went down in this beef, and even look at just a handful of the 50-plus songs Drake has released since, the entire genius mastermind narrative falls apart. This isn't some elegant chess move. It's messy, frantic, and incomprehensible as a long-term strategy. If people want to insist that Drake is some rap oracle, Then how do they explain The Heart Part 6 not as a revelation of a grand industry plot, but as an attempt to cover up how badly he misplayed the feud? What are we even doing here? Because if Drake truly had a master plan, if he really knew every step of what was coming, that would have been a seismic shift in music history. He could have flipped the narrative and changed the game forever. But that didn't happen. Not then, not now. The entire story now looks less like a secret operation and more like a massive bluff gone wrong. Yet OVO's most loyal believers are still trying to convince themselves that Drake willingly torched everything he built over the past year as part of some grand strategy to win later. That sounds less like a plan and more like a bad script from a movie about fame gone wrong. And if you actually believe that, it might be time to stop caring about Drake altogether, because that's how far off the deep end this has gone. Nobody, and I mean nobody, has ever intentionally let their reputation crumble this hard on purpose. There isn't a single self-respecting person in entertainment history who would do something this self-destructive and call it strategy. Let's be real, there's no way anyone can say that with a straight face and still think it makes sense. Drake is out here trying to move like a genius puppet master, liking posts that claim he knew everything from the start. He's even bragging that he's the real boogeyman compared to Kendrick Lamar, like he's living in a horror movie while everyone else is stuck watching from the audience. The funniest part. He's pulling all these sneaky stunts, tossing bait to his fans, and stirring chaos online, yet he still refuses to say Kendrick's name. At this point, it's all smoke, mirrors, and ego. Truthfully, it feels like Drake just got lucky. He's thrilled that his fanbase is desperate enough to believe these overblown fairy tales. They treat every random lyric, every like, every cryptic post as gospel from a prophet, when really, it's just noise. Because when you look at how Drake has operated over the past decade, one thing becomes clear. This man isn't the mastermind he wants people to think he is. He's not calculated, he's not prophetic, and he's definitely not holding any crystal ball that lets him see the future. What we've actually seen across For All the Dogs, Scary Hours 3, and this entire messy feud is simple. Drake has mastered a new form of chaos. And honestly, that chaos deserves its own name, something fitting for all the half-baked disses, emotional flips, and accidental clownery he's been serving. So here it is, diss slop. That's the perfect label for this unplanned, overhyped, and downright sloppy energy Drake keeps feeding the world while pretending it's part of some master plan. Now, let's break down exactly what diss slop means. It defines how Drake's been moving for years. The man raps like he's always arguing with someone, always snapping back, always angry. But if you really listen, 99% of what he says is so vague it could mean anything. It's all smoke and attitude with no clarity. Yet somehow, his biggest fans twist that into brilliance, claiming he's bigger than Michael Jackson, sharper than Jay-Z, and slicker in the courtroom than Saul Goodman. Please. That's not genius. That's just noise with good PR. If you look at Scary Hours 3, the pattern becomes obvious. A perfect example is the track Stories About My Brother. This song is the ultimate showcase of that diss slop energy. When Drake ends the track saying, "You are not Kobe Bryant to us," it sounds deep, right? But when you start connecting the dots, it's like, who is he even talking about? In hindsight, everyone's scrambling to make sense of it. Some fans swear that line was aimed at Kendrick Lamar, since Kendrick's a West Coast legend and the Kobe reference fits perfectly. Others claim it was about LeBron James because he's also a Laker, and his friendship turned tension with Drake has been public for years. But that's exactly the problem. Drake's lines are like Rorschach tests. You see what you want to see. He throws out vague shots, emotional bait, and cryptic quotes, then lets his fans do all the decoding. It's not genius lyricism. It's calculated confusion. And the fact that people are still debating what that line meant proves that Drake's current image thrives on mystery and misdirection. When you really look at the context, the Kendrick or LeBron theory falls apart fast. Sure, it loosely fits, and Drake's fans love to push that narrative. They'll point out how Kendrick showed up at one of Drake's concerts or how Drake and LeBron were tight at the time and say, "See? This proves it." But when you look closer, it's obvious that the line was probably about someone else entirely, or maybe it meant nothing at all. Drake tosses in vague lines like that constantly, and fans build whole conspiracies out of them. Now, years later, people are trying to link those old bars to his current beefs like it was all some prophecy. That's exactly how this machine works. A random lyric gets retrofitted into an elaborate plotline, and suddenly Drake's cast as this master manipulator who knew everything. Take the track Red Button, for example. Drake raps about industry conspiracies and claims that everyone's against him, dropping all these paranoid-sounding bars like he's starring in a psychological thriller. His die-hard spin that is proof that he foresaw the Kendrick beef, that it was all one big setup. But here's the reality. Drake literally asked Kendrick to be on that album. When Kendrick declined, It surprised everyone, including Drake. That's not mastermind behavior, that's just normal industry politics. Then there's that infamous Kojo line. Fans are twisting it into evidence that Drake knew exactly what he was doing all along, but the facts don't support it. It's far more likely another vague name drop that people latched onto to build their favorite conspiracy. Let's be honest, none of this holds up. Until there's actual proof that Drake has ever been this calculated, or that his vague lyrics truly connect to some long-term plan, it's all smoke and mirrors. What we're really seeing is Drake doing what he does best, manipulating the most gullible fans into thinking chaos equals genius. It's not strategy, it's diss-slop all over again, and it amounts to absolutely nothing. What makes this whole moment so wild is that the narrative inside the Drake community is spreading like wildfire. There's this growing belief that maybe, just maybe, the Kendrick Lamar beef wasn't what we thought. That Drake somehow knew more, saw deeper, and planned ahead like some rap world chess player. But come on, this isn't a 4D strategy game. It's just fans rewriting history to protect their idol's pride. It's obvious Drake wants to revisit the Kendrick feud, or at least toy with the idea of it. Every bar, every cryptic post, every sly lyric feels like him throwing subtle jabs without ever saying Kendrick's name. He's still subbing, still stirring the pot, but deep down, he doesn't want that real smoke again. He's teasing a fight he's too afraid to face head-on. Honestly, I almost hope he keeps poking, because the second Kendrick decides to respond, it's over. All Kendrick would need to do is hit upload, drop that unreleased diss, and boom, the entire internet would stop. One button, one verse, and we'd have another all-time classic moment that buries every ounce of Drake's fake genius narrative once and for all. And honestly, if this is what it takes to get new Kendrick Lamar music, then I'm all for it. I don't care how many times Drake keeps throwing bait or talking slick on stage. If it pushes Kendrick to drop again, that's a massive win for rap fans everywhere. Because let's be real, every time Kendrick steps up, he reminds the world who truly runs this lyrical game. Meanwhile, Drake's out here proving that Laurie might just be the lamest persona hip-hop has ever seen. So now that everything's on the table, I want to hear from you. What do you think about Drake trying to rewrite the Kendrick beef like he had some secret insight all along? Do you buy this story that he knew it was coming? Or do you think he's just scrambling to look clever after the fact? And what do you make of his new attempts to spark another round with Kendrick? Is he reaching? Or is this just desperation in disguise? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, because this one's messy, hilarious, and wild all at once. And if you made it this far into the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share, it helps out a ton. Now, if you're ready for even more chaos, check out the next one, because right before all this, Drake had one of the most unhinged onstage rants of his entire career, and trust me, it gets even worse. See you in the next one.